Fracking has been done for a lot of years, and it really has. There's a lot of people that are hammering fracking and things like that. If it's done right, it's safe. It really is. And you need to, I talked to Range Resource. They have 3,000 subcontractors. So if one of those subcontractors don't do what they're supposed to do, the whole industry takes a hit on that. And so we got to do, Bob's been drilling wells on his property for years and a lot of different things. A lot of people maybe in this room have gas on some of their properties and all that. Yeah, you can do that stuff, but you got to, as soon as you do that, make sure you've done your due diligence. Make sure you know how wet your gas is and what your pressure is. Because I know people that put pumps in and put a dryer in. If you don't put a dryer, you're asking for problems. And you don't regen or that, you're asking for problems again. Not only in your pumps, but you're asking for it in your engines. When it gets into your engines, it's even more of a problem.
Water consumption by fuel type. Compressed natural gas is the least use of fresh water of any fuel source. If you look at, here's an interesting one, corn ethanol. For every 100 miles you drive on corn ethanol, you use 2,800 gallons of water to irrigate
for the fermenting and everything. Of the corn and all that.
The plant, irrigate it and everything. So 2,800 gallons of fresh water is used for every 100 miles driven on ethanol. But if you look at conventional refineries that produce gasoline and diesel fuel, you're in the 50 to 60 gallons for every 100 miles. If you look at CNG that's produced by a natural gas engine compressor, it's under 3 gallons of water for every.
Again, I talked about 300,000 miles of pipelines. It's already available in the lower 48 states. An additional 1.9 million miles of pipe transfer gas within the utility areas. So I think there's a map out on the Alternative Fuel Data website, the DOE website, of kind of the pipelines that are in across the United States. 1,190 natural gas fueling stations. The natural gas residential customers to fill their vehicles. I started off at NETL with 2 little slow fill units were a gallon an hour, and I had 17 vehicles. Well, a lot of my dedicated vehicles, not biofuel vehicles, were for my HVAC, my carpenters, my plumbers, and guy electricians. So because they were only running a couple 100-mile a month, because the facility was only about 2 or 3 miles across, I could turn around and schedule them. Okay, Monday night, you come in, you hook it up to that little appliance, get you up to 28, 3,000 PSI, shuts off. It was a run under 120. You were done. So I had 2 of them here. So I put these 2 people here on Monday, these 2 people on Tuesday. And then it got to be where I was running a lot of biofuel vehicles on the road refueling. So we went out and purchased a mini quick fill from Fuel Maker, which was about an 80-gallon capacity. And we still have the slow fills there over on the side of 901 there. And then they have the quick fill one, so we could keep those going. And I will tell you, along with the ethanol and the natural gas, when I left in 2007, we did 22,000 gasoline gallon equivalency of alternative fuel in 2007. I bet you it's nowhere near that since I left, because I've gotten rid of a lot of it. Those of you not familiar with a time fill, semi-time fill, we call it a modified, is that pump can also come right out of that pump. Say a 500 horsepower pump, and it can, and I don't know how many MCF it's pumping a minute, but it can directly fill those people that are coming up at the station with very limited storage capacity, or overnight when those trucks are sitting there for 16 hours. And when the shift comes in, they start their shift sometimes 3 in the morning or so, and they're usually done by noon. These trucks are getting, so the way the time fill works is that this vehicle comes in with empty, it starts pumping it up. This next vehicle comes in and plugs in beside it, it's half full. Well, it's still filling up this it's still filling up this one that was empty till it gets up equal. So 50 of these on a line together, at any time you can disconnect or connect at any one of those ones, and it'll just work that up until eventually they're all full. Okay, that's how that time goes. And then that's a lot cheaper than getting a big, full-blown, quick fill. But it's all what you need, so there's not one size fits all. So at a public station, you want it on demand. So you're gonna have to spend a little bit more money to either storage and or pump horsepower. So make sure that you understand that and then build in and allow for some growth. Or like at EQT station right now, and they were here at our gaseous fuel committee today. They've been having some problem down there with their station, and they got it going in. But they're already getting ready. If you've been there, you'll see another island there for more fuel pump. They're getting ready to add more refueling and more compressor capacity in the back, is what they told us today, right, Matt?
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to do that. Now, with what Bob does at his thing, he has a unique side of the thing because he has his on a trailer. There's 3 connections, right? 3 connections on a trailer. So for those of you have a C station, which is a larger gas station, as I call a C station, and you want to try out natural gas in that area. It's on a trailer, got a license plate on the trailer, right? It's all mounted, your storage, your compressor, your dryers, everything there. You can turn around and start using it. Well, what happens if that station gets really being used a lot? You either got to build a big quick fill or add more capacity to it. But what happens on the other side if the station's not doing so good? Disconnect those 3 things and move it to another location. So there are, depending on what you need, coming out of some of those things, we can, there's people in this room here today, they can help you buy the 7,000 fill, or we can get you to a $5 million station, which was, I think, was what the one at Phoenix Airport. They put one on each side, and their buses running there. So, depending on who you are here today in the room, your biggest return on investment, in my opinion, Rick Price's opinion, is your trash haulers, transit authorities, and your Class A tractors. Why? Because they run hundreds of thousands of miles a year, a lot of them, or they get 3 or 4 or 5 miles per gallon. Right? And they run, some of them run 365 or 3/4 of a day. Those are the big targets because your return on investment, actually your upfit costs are more than if you're going to do it at a Honda or if you're going to do it with one of the pickups or the vans. These today are available right now on about $11,000 from Fuel Maker. They're about $11,000. Got to buy a dryer with it. You got to make sure it's regen so your moisture's taken out. But I know a number of these are already in the area. New Bethlehem has one, and I know K Runnel has one. We're hoping to get one here at CCAC so we can have that here for our teaching of our natural gas classes. But these are available right now offline. If anybody wants to know about that. They also sell the fill, which is a little half-gallon an hour that sits in you can put in your garage, so you can go home at night and fill up every night. It's an appliance. There's no real thing there. I know. Listen, if you're going back, it's like if you're coming back to the same place. Most of your vehicles sit at least 8 hours at home at night, right? Same with electric vehicles, electric charging, plug-in electric, the same way. Waste Management has a station, a pump that supplies both the public as well as 50 fuel posts sitting there that those trash haulers come in and plug into every night. These are better for long haul and distances because you can put a little more energy, less pressure, and more space, so you get a little more distance out of what you're doing there. And there's already a big one of these going. There's a highway, what we call an LNG highway, from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City right now. A number of people are using that there. And again, because some of the stuff that's here, if you go to our webpage, there's a picture of of the LNG. I think it might be in one of our newsletters. Mm-hmm. Again, a little bit. This shows you the doors that they're. You remember they might be at a low pressure, but they got to be insulated really well because in LNG you get boil off, and so you can actually lose fuel if you don't have to have that. So again, you can see the density level. A little bit thing here. You got to wear your hydraulic gloves when you're doing all this type of stuff. there, and they pump it at 40 gallons a minute. I remember when I was in a service, I was a crew chief on the plane on C-130. We used to use liquid oxygen, so we'd have to put the oxygen in to refuel the oxygen. You look at the stations. Again, there are automatic shutoffs on stations. There's methane detectors, even on the. Then they have again the flammability is lower, and a lot of this stuff has to do with just why it's more safe than what it is for petroleum-based fuels. In fact, Giant Eagle, and Mike will tell you, they have methane detectors in every one of their cabs of their trucks. So, that's even helping them for the drivers to increase the safety. And I don't know if he'll talk a little bit about their safety driving program too, but whether they're going to start moving CNG into their yearly safety driving program. They got 2 little trailers that you can actually simulate driving a Class 8 tractor, and they throw things at you like people walking off the sidewalk in front of you, and you're going to avoid that, or backing up and different things. It's pretty interesting if you get a chance. Natural gas. How many heard of the hydrogen highway that Mr. Schwartz decided they were going to do in California? Natural gas, hydrogen is made from natural gas. You just put a reformer on the back end of natural gas. That's why you see along the turnpike, in my opinion, Rick Price's opinion, along the turnpike, all these new rest areas being fueling depots being redone. They're pumping a lot of natural gas into that area because they can have that easily moved over to hydrogen in the future. But again, my goal is I'd like to see all the alternative fuels along all those plazas going on, and we do have some other, but hopefully they're working on some natural gas ones on the turnpike as well, because we need to work those corridors, because there's a lot of people traveling through our state. Again, Rick Price's opinion, this is like a 10 to 15 year transition period for us right now, and I think biofuel and dual fuel is the way to go right now if you don't have the infrastructure built, or if you don't come back to your same location every night. I think that's a great thing, and that's why you see more and more models starting to come out. This is kind of rehashing over what we're doing here. In 2011 equivalents, we did 360 million. We're looking to, and they're saying at the American Public Transport that 1/5 of all transit buses were running on natural gas LNG in 2011. Remember I said, natural gas is really moving in the transit industry. And like I said, I was up in Erie in March, I believe. They're already running 7 or 8 up there. Indiana County's already running them. In fact, they're looking to do a bunch more this year in Erie. I just saw where Mon Valley Transit received some money to upgrade their facilities to work on natural gas buses, and there was one other one. And we've been working, I don't know where we are on the Butler Transit thing, but we were working differently with Butler Transit as well. I know we ran into some snags there. They actually turned back in $1 million to the state because they couldn't get all that. And if they would have come and talked to us earlier, that probably would have been a done deal already. So there's an opportunity there, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's got to go through a transition period, and nobody has the money, unless I guess you're Steinbrenners or some of these others, to take your whole fleet and move it right now. There's a lot of capital investment in doing that. But I think as vehicles need to be replaced, or a little bit at a time, I think that's where we're going. Again, we're at more than 35 airports. Like I said, I just talked with Sunoco earlier. We had a CNG station at the airport, and we just didn't use it enough. And they were asked to move the flyings, and the gas company didn't want to move it, so they moved it and sold it. And I would definitely move